We've got Nathan Erbach and Brian Driscoll on the line talking Notre Dame football. You can catch Brian's work at Irish Breakdown on your favorite audio platform or right here on YouTube after you're done watching this. Just put it right there in the search bar, Irish Breakdown. Before I get to Rod's question on the screen regarding conference affiliation, I always love to ask this question just in regards to personnel breakdowns. Guys that you would feel can be breakout players this year. And for me, that means a guy that's little used, maybe a special teams player, maybe a guy that sees the field a little bit who can break into the starting lineup, or maybe it's a starting player who can become a nationally known player, an impact player, a really tremendous player. So Brian, offense and defense, who do you think could break out this year?
Well, offensively, I hope it's one of the two sophomore receivers. I hope it's Jordan Johnson or Xavier Watts or both of them. I think that Notre Dame's going to need somebody that wasn't a factor last year step up and be a factor. When you lose Javon McKinley and Ben Skoranek and you didn't really have much production beyond that other than Avery Davis, they need some guys to step up. So hopefully it's one of those two guys. Maybe Kevin Austin's an interesting one because, you'd like to say, well, he's not a breakout because he's been around, but he's got 6 career catches. So, maybe he can be that guy as well. I think we've talked about him so much. It seems like he's played a lot more than he has. They need one of those 3 receivers, in my opinion, to step up. Those 3 guys can be difference makers, can change the whole scope of your offense. And if you can get some of those guys to step up and take some of the pressure off Michael Mayer and off Kyron Williams, that's how your offense takes that next step. So hopefully on offense, it's one of those 3 guys this year.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's hard to argue with that. I mean, maybe another guy to throw in there who was used it. I mean, he was probably their second or third running back, and Chris Tyree, you mentioned him a few times, but getting the ball in his hands a lot more often. He's a speed threat anytime, a home run threat every time he touches the football. I think he scored the other touchdown in the Alabama game super late, I believe. And I remember Brian texting me or tweeting something at me right afterwards, and he goes, "Man, if they did that all game, they might have had it."
It was the Clemson game. He comes in his first touch, first touch against Clemson. He goes 21 yards for a touchdown, and I'm like, well, yeah, he couldn't have done that the first 3.5 quarters, right? Apparently Kyron Williams didn't need any breathers in the first 3.5 quarters, which is what Brian Kelly said Chris Tyree's role was last year. So.
Right.
Whatever.
So if it's not, it's got to be one of those receivers, like Brian mentioned. I mean, Kevin Austin would obviously be great. I mean, we've talked a lot about him, but one of the 2 sophomores, or I mean, whoever. I mean, if it's Lorenzo Styles, then that's great too. But he wouldn't really be considered a breakout just because he's a freshman, I suppose. But other than that, I mean, I think Chris Tyree's another option that he needs to touch the football more often this season.